Hey everybody, Lester Gray here with the Chronicles of Les Mo podcast. Today we're talking with Mike Davis. Now Mike is the founder and director of One Body Outreach. He is the area representative for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and he's an assistant head coach with Trinity Prep. Now Mike essentially has 3 jobs, so really he just has one, which is really trying to make an impact on today's youth through basketball and the arts. We had a very good conversation today, and we talked about his career, his journey to Christ, his upbringing, and what he's most enjoys in his life. So I encourage you to stay to the end. And with that, here we go. Mike Davis, how you doing, brother?
Doing awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad that you come and visit me and Mo on our Chronicles of Les Mo. Appreciate it so much.
Excited to be here. Love what y'all doing.
I appreciate it. So, you know the formula, right? We kind of ask folks a few questions, kind of get a timeline or a chronicle of their life. But before we get started, man, I kind of want to ask you to tell me a little bit about yourself for the audience. Tell me, just some background of who you are and what you do.
For sure. Name's Mike Davis. I am a proud husband. Mm-hmm. Been married. October will make 15 years to my awesome wife, Katrina.
Yeah.
I'm father of 2 boys, 17 and 13.
17. Jeez.
Yeah, it happens fast too.
Yeah. I saw some pictures of them, man. They're like as tall as you or taller than you. I mean,
my 13-year-old is almost eye to eye with me.
Wow.
Yes. Doctors say he's supposed to be about 6'5", 6'6".
Got a ball in his hand 24/7.
He got a ball in his hands 24/7, and he runs track. So
okay.
He's got it.
All right.
Yeah. So proud husband, proud father.
Mm-hmm.
I from the awesome state of Georgia.
Okay.
Very proud to always represent where I'm from.
Right.
Awesome parents, awesome family, humble beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
These days I'm, constantly in the streets, doing what I do.
Yeah. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I know. Well, let's talk about it a little bit. I know. Okay. Tell me about your main nonprofit. Your nonprofit.
My nonprofit. So as you might see, I got my logo.
Move that string a little.
String. Y'all see this? I am the founder director of One Body Outreach.
One Body Outreach.
We are actually in year 10 of existence.
Wow.
Which, from what I understand, is pretty rare these days.
Well, most, I think that statistic about businesses not in any form not surviving more than 5 years is still a thing.
Right.
So that's awesome, man.
It's definitely a blessing.
Tell me a little bit about the mission.
So what we do is we are here to use basketball and performing arts and tutoring to impact the next generation.
Gotcha.
We're primarily known for our basketball program through travel basketball, through camps, clinics, but we've also done some phenomenal stage plays, and we got a lot of kids behind the scenes that are getting help academically.
That's great.
So, and now we're at a place where we're really trying to push giving college scholarships.
All right.
So we've done a lot of work. We've served, I would say we're approaching about 500 kids now that we've served in some capacity over 10 years.
So some of the kids that I know you're keeping track, but give me one kid that's like, come through the program, you look at him now and like, man, he's doing phenomenal.
Oh man, to be fair, I'll give you a young man and a young woman. Real quick.
All right.
Young man.
I gotta check my biases.
Hey, we got a young man, Noble Crawford is he's probably the best basketball player we've ever had. And he is currently playing Division I basketball at Chicago State University. We had him when he had 2 left feet. We had him when he first picked up a ball. And he was just arms and legs.
I remember him.
Yeah.
You know, we both were great friends with his parents, Absolutely. Donnie and Nicole. So we watched that boy go from maybe about here, you know.
Yep.
And he's doing phenomenal. I see him
for
on
sure.
Instagram doing this thing. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a prime example. The young lady?
Young lady named Mariah Jones. She's actually leading the National Society of Black Engineers at UCF.
Okay.
Although she came to us playing basketball when she started as a 6th grader, I believe now.
Right.
She gained so many skills just being a part of the program. She gained so many relationships. And just to see her applying this stuff, even though basketball wasn't her path, it just made her a leader.
Yeah.
It made her vocal. It made her outspoken. It made her confident. And now she's on the path to changing the world.
Nice.
So I could go on all day. I could do a whole episode on kids, but those are just 2 that jump out immediately.
Right. So give me a little history of it. You started in
2014.
Right. What was the first year like?
Brutal. It was, from the mission standpoint, the work is always fun. Right. That's what gets you there. That's what draws you.
Right.
But it's always a funding challenge. It's always a challenge of making people understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I tell people is that a lot of the support you're going to get is going to come from people you don't know.
Right.
Until you're doing it. People are bandwagoners.
Right.
So people, it's just like sports teams. They'll support you when they see that you're good.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to be in there with you from the ground up.
Yeah, it's one of my great friends, he passed away, Eugene, told me when we were running the Black NBAs, he said, man, be careful of hanger-ons because, they'll sometimes show up to support, but they're really trying to use you to further them and then wind up dragging you down. So not don't do it, but just be careful when you start, enlisting help. But you're right, that's one of the challenges with nonprofits. So the first year was tough, more tough than the second year, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's all, and don't get me wrong, even in year 10, it's challenges.
Okay.
But as we progressed, we really never had an issue finding people to serve.
Right.
It's all the other stuff.
Right.
And that's what a lot of young aspiring entrepreneurs have to understand is, you have to be well versed and educated in how to run a business, not just, great at the product you provide, the service you provide. That's, like I said, that's what gets you there. Right. I had to learn, even going back to the beginning, I taught myself how to write grants.
Yeah.
I taught myself how to do my own 501c3, stuff that people paying thousands of dollars to other people to do. I'm like, I don't have that money lying around. Right. So, and then I met a challenge, realized, okay, can't do that anymore. Okay, maybe I should start doing this. Okay, maybe I can't do this by myself. Okay, I need more help. And, hey, God's been faithful. He's brought me everything I needed over the years. And it's awesome.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought up God, because that is our question we asked. And so here it is. When did you first fall in love with Jesus?
Man, I love that question. I love that question.
It's a throwback to like, when did you first fall in love with hip hop?
From what was that? Brown Sugar. That's absolutely right.
So I can't take all of the credit for the question.
Oh man, I got to go back and watch Brown Sugar now. When did I first fall in love with God? truly fall in love with God, I would say I was in my mid-20s.
Okay.
Now, my salvation story goes back to 16.
Okay.
But truly falling in love with God, I would say it was when I turned about 23, 24. Life dictated that.
Okay. Was there a moment, whatever you feel comfortable with, but was there a moment of transition? How did that play out in you?
Well, what happened was I gave my life to the Lord at 16.
Right.
At least, verbalize that in front of people. And my whole thought process at the time was, okay, I'm, prototypical teenager. I'm out here doing whatever, whenever, however. And if I do this, if I make this decision, I'm buying fire insurance.
I like that.
I'm going to keep myself from going to hell.
Right.
While living how I want to live.
Right.
So it wasn't a true, hey, I fell in love with Jesus. It was I'm making a business decision. it was a, hey, God, I just outsmarted you.
Got an exit strategy from this life of sin,
Right, exactly.
I got you.
Yeah, so that was my thought process. And then between the ages of 16 and about 21, 22, man, hey, I hope my mama don't watch this, but that's when I was never a bad kid, but that's when I raised the most hell.
Right.
Is in those years after I called myself getting saved.
Right.
So it took between that time frame, I wasted an opportunity to play basketball in college.
Okay.
I got evicted from 3 apartments between the ages of 21 and 23.
Okay.
The miracle is I got 2 apartments after I got evicted from 1, but that's a whole nother.
He takes care of fools and babies, right?
He takes care of fools and babies, right? But no, and that's just some of the story. I mean, in that time frame, I had a situation where I was in crossfire.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with it. Just outside of a club talking to girls. Stuff just start flying. Sparks flying. I'm like, oh Lord, I'm jumping in bushes. Had a really bad car accident where I hit somebody. Actually here in Orlando in East Colonial.
Okay.
Hit somebody oncoming traffic. Guy on a motorcycle flipped over my car.
Wow.
By the grace of God, it was because he had a DUI. He was drunk. That it didn't harm me other than tickets and fines.
Gotcha.
And he, he lived. He was fine.
Right.
Got out of the hospital in a few days. But you see a man flip over your car.
Yeah.
You like, whoa.
I mean, Monet's grandmother used to say, "Worse is available," and that could have been much worse.
Much worse.
I mean, it's fatal even.
Yeah. That, and then, I reached a point where I kind of hit rock bottom financially. I hit rock bottom emotionally. I hit rock bottom in so many areas. I was the kid. I had a lot of arrogance in me. I thought I was just so great, and I would leave a job and get a job the same day. You remember those days when you could just show up, get a job, and they start you the next day.
Hiring,
or you walk up, smile, right, and they give you a job. That was me.
Right.
I was that guy, right? And I'm like, okay, man, I just leave, get another job.
Right.
And then came to a place where God shut all that off and said, this is no exaggeration, Les. I remember I was in a period of time where I was applying for probably 10, 12 jobs a day, every day for months and got nothing. I'm talking McDonald's, Burger King, nothing.
Wow.
They would call and be like, well, you're overqualified.
Right.
Or what? You're going to just leave soon.
Right.
So nobody would hire me.
Gotcha.
It was rough. But all of that was a part of my story that brought me to depending on the Lord.
Yeah.
I ended up, I started visiting churches, and I visited this church that I still go to today.
Oh, you can call it by name, bro.
My Antioch family. Listen, I went there. Now, mind you, I went there years past.
Yeah.
For one particular day. It was Easter, and I went with some girl I was dating.
Right.
But, that wasn't a big deal.
Right.
But then I said, man, I'm going to go back there. I went there, and I wasn't living over there. I'm driving across town to get there.
You're still 20.
I'm still in that 22-ish, 23, yeah.
Okay.
I'm driving across town to get there. Actually, I'm about 24. Driving across town to get there. I'm dating this girl now that I end up marrying, my wife. She coming with me, but she coming with me to see who I'm going to see, right? She ain't coming with me, like, hey, yeah, let's do this spiritual journey. She coming with me because she like, all right, there's got to be some girl there. Yeah. Because he driving all the way over there to this place. But, just continuing to make that trip, was continuing to be drawn. And I just, I had some conversations there with our pastor and our associate pastor, Pastor Jones, and I really had a conversation with Pastor Jermaine Thomas as well. And I rededicated my life to the Lord in his office.
Okay.
And then from there,
did you get rebaptized again?
I didn't get rebaptized. I got baptized when I was when I first got saved at 16. Yeah.
I know we don't really need to do it.
Yeah. But what ended up happening, crazy thing is, I gave my life to the Lord, and then shortly after that, I proposed to my now wife. And we doing the shacking up thing, living together, doing what people who live together do, all that stuff, right? We got the baby, and mind you, that's not my biological son, my oldest.
Okay.
I came into his life when we met at 4 months old.
Okay.
So, we both coming from our circumstances.
Yeah.
But from there, I ended up, I proposed to her. We all in love. We, both a mess. I mean, just a dumpster fire. But
right.
God cleans up messes, right?
Yes, so he does.
So we we going through the premarital process, getting counseling. And then my wife comes from a family who goes to church, serves in church, faithful in church. One Sunday, my wife gets up bursting in tears and goes and gives her life to the Lord. And I'm like, this woman ain't know Jesus. I'm like, I was fooled, but she gave her life to the Lord, because she got convicted with the unequally yoked stuff.
I know that story. That's similar to my story, but we here to listen to you chronicle your story, right?
It's all about my chronicles, right? But she gave her life to the Lord during the premarital counseling process.
Yeah.
And that's when we ended up getting married 2009. I was 26, she was 25. We was just two young, silly fools. Didn't know what we was doing. Just all we knew how to do was love each other.
Yeah. So I know a little bit. I'm gonna jump forward a little bit. So I know you graduated from help me.
Belhaven.
I'm getting ready to say Davis, but that's your last name.
Belhaven.
So Belhaven with a business degree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Business
so what you had already started college and didn't quite finish? So you started over when you went there.
So college for me, officially, I was in college from 2001 to 2015.
Okay.
I graduated high school. I was, I wasn't a great athlete, but I thought I was. I worked and convinced somebody to give me an opportunity to play basketball. Was going to school in 2001 at a small school in South Carolina.
Right.
Spartanburg Methodist College.
Okay.
From there, I ended up, having to leave, got kicked out.
Right.
Went to when I moved down here, I ended up going to Valencia.
Okay.
In and out of Valencia.
Yeah.
I would go when things got hard. I drop classes, get out, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing that song and dance for a long time. And then I eventually ended up going to Belhaven. And they drew me because at the time I started to dip into sports ministry.
Okay.
And they offered a degree program in that, but they didn't offer it locally. So the lady was like, but if you're already doing this, you don't need a degree in that. Why don't you just get a degree in business management? Right. And I was like, okay, cool, I guess. And so I went for it, fell in, and that's what gave me a lot of the skills I needed to, become an entrepreneur. I became an entrepreneur prior to getting my degree.
Right.
But that just kind of helped me take some things over the top.
So I know you were working for Oviedo at one point.
I was working for the state of Florida.
State of Florida.
Yes.
Right. And what sticks out in my mind is that you were there for, I think, probably about 5 years or so, and you were doing well.
Right.
Right. You bought your house. Because by then we met, right? I don't know what year I was going to church with Monet, but I wasn't saved. So I'd pop in and out. But I know there's some stories about her praying for me in some of these ministries. And I think you were part of that prayer.
The prayers.
So, but, I gave my life to Christ and joined Antioch officially, I think in 10 or 11. By then, we met, but I think I might have met you when Mo had one of the socials at the house. Or at some point we met in there. But but when I became involved in the church, I know that you were working for the state, right? And then bought a house, bought a car, bought several things that kind of, shows progression, success, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But then you up and left.
I did.
You up and left.
I did.
And I remember the Facebook post. I'm like, what?
I did.
You up and left to do what?
I was actually with the state 9 years.
9 years. Okay. 9 years. All right.
And I'll give you more on that in a second. But I left my state job, state benefits, state pay, state schedule. You know where I'm gonna be, when I'm gonna be there every day.
Pension in the box if you needed it.
All that.
Medical, everything.
Easy job.
Easy, yeah.
Easy job. Like, wasn't that complicated for me. I left that to become a full-time missionary with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
My Lord. I saw that, and I was like, I guess the two angels, devils was on the shoulder. I was like, what is this dude doing? He could do that and this, and part of me was proud, right? I was like, okay, this man is. So when we talk about love of Jesus, I mean, I know that you wear that love on, but tell me from your heart how the love for him has driven you to make these decisions. How did you get past all of the, naysayers or the human? What do you do in reaction?
Yeah.
To make that call, bro?
Man, well, even my wife was a naysayer at first. It was. I mean, hey, and I thank God for. I'll give you just kind of give you some context with it to take it to where we going. So I'm working with the state. God gave me 4 promotions in those 9 years. Now, if you know anything about state employees, people don't get promoted.
Like that.
I mean, I'm just going from glory to glory, just getting elevated, right?
Right.
And it's not even like something, ridiculous that I'm doing.
Right.
I mean, I'm getting jobs because 2 people applied for it.
Right.
Stuff like that. So like I'm just getting elevated constantly to a point where my official title was the regulatory supervisor. For basically, I'm dealing with all the bad real estate agents in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Right? I'm sitting at that desk. I'm meeting commissioners, meeting board members, not learning that, I'm getting an understanding of how boards work,
Right.
how, people in that realm operate, getting put in a different room of a different sphere of influence of people that I still know to this day.
Right, right.
But, I'm learning all this and I'm meeting all these people, building all these relationships. And at the same time, I'm not even in a field or a job that I like.
Okay.
I had no interest in it. It was feeding my family.
Yeah.
It was, covering my family insurance wise. It was all those things, right? But I never, and I saw people with the state 20, 30 years. And I'm like, I do not want to be them.
Okay.
I had no interest in doing this forever.
Right.
It was just a job to me.
Right, right.
Long story short, there was a day, it was November of 2017. And I was just really upset about some things. I saw some good people being let go
At
the job. Yeah. And, a lot of that stuff working with the state, a lot of it depends on, who's in charge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of political stuff, whichever way the wind's blowing. So I'm like, oh man, I really don't like it here. I can't be here forever. And I said, man, Lord, I want to do what I do and make a living doing it. Yeah. Right. I'm already running this nonprofit. I'm dipping my toe in this water. Yeah. I want to do what I love to do and make a living doing it. And I was just looking around like, all right, I don't even know where to find that at. Then fast forward to January, 2 months later.
Okay.
Really, it was a worse day than the day in November. And somebody told me a few days prior, you'd be perfect for FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I'm like, really? And I didn't have the best experience with them in high school. So I'm like, okay, maybe, whatever. I go online because I'm frustrated and disgruntled. Orange County looking for people. I'm like, all right, let me just apply or whatever.
Right.
You know, when you just in that mode, I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna apply to this job, this and that. I don't know how it works. Nothing. I'm just applying. That was on a Friday night. I got an email Saturday morning.
What?
People don't email you on Saturday morning.
Ah, man.
I got an email Saturday morning for set up a meeting Monday morning.
Okay.
So this Friday, Saturday, Monday.
Yeah.
I have the best conversation, quote unquote interview, if you will, ever.
Yeah.
Because all I did was talk about sports and talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is awesome. This is it. Okay. So then I called my wife. I said, yeah, I think this might be the move. She say, what they gonna pay you?
That's a good question.
That's the question. And I'm like, honestly, I don't even know. I don't know how that works. He explained something to me and I didn't fully understand it. But we gonna keep talking. We gonna, and I was getting invited to staff meetings. Yeah. I was getting invited to FCA stuff.
So they almost hired you right off the bat just to get to work.
Right. But the thing is, I'm learning as I'm being involved in some of their stuff, I'm learning that, okay, this ain't normal how people make a living. No. They have to raise their support. Yeah. They have to fundraise their salary. Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah, the idea, I've ran across a few people who have been doing that for years and they living. But,
they living.
The idea of that is very daunting.
It is.
Very daunting.
And when I shared that with my wife, she was like, yeah, that's a bad idea. And I was like, on one hand, I'm like, I feel like this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. On the other hand, I'm like, Lord, and I said this to God. I said, I don't want this at the expense of my marriage, though. Yeah. Like, because I've seen people make decisions and, your wife resents you for it. Yeah. And then it was, this January, February process building. and I'm kind of like connected to them, but I'm, not doing anything. I'm just being around.
You still doing your day job.
Still we're doing my day job.
Yeah.
And they said, look, they even took me and my wife out to eat, talked to her about it. Still didn't really make sense to her. And they said, this comes March now. They like, look, if you're going to do this, we need to send you to training in Kansas City in May. We need to have an answer by the end of March so that we can move forward.
Right.
I'm like, man, Lord. And then I never forget this day. I was taking my wife to a doctor's appointment in Gainesville, 2-hour drive. The appointment went awful, terrible, bad, whatever. We driving home, you can hear a pin drop. We driving down I-75, driving down the Florida Turnpike, you can hear a pin drop. And I'm just thinking in my mind, let me just get her home. This ain't go well. Maybe we stop, get something to eat, whatever.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, she just up and says, if you don't do this FCA thing, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
That's awesome.
She didn't even believe it in that moment.
Yeah.
But the Lord prompted her to say that.
I believe it, man.
Because of what I prayed.
I believe it. Yeah.
Crazy thing is now, she just as excited, if not more excited about FCA than me.
Wow.
Right? Like she is so bought in. But, it's in that process, even going back to the nonprofit journey, the FCA journey was very similar.
Yeah.
People wondering, man, you're crazy. And this kind of answers your original question.
Yeah.
How do you navigate the naysayers?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
Yeah.
You got to make a decision. Am I going to do what I feel like God's telling me to do? Or am I going to be concerned with the response of what everybody else is saying?
I tell you, that's a great story. And I think that a lot of us, we've had people share that journey already, that they've come to a point when, you have to listen to God more than you, and trust him that he's going to take care of you. Right.
Right.
I mean, what's the scripture about the birds eat every day, so how much more is he going to take care of you? One of those, I don't know exactly.
Matthew 6.
Yeah. So look at you. Matthew 6, calling it out.
Yes, sir.
So, but it's there. And and the thing about God, I think he brings up those scriptures right when you need them.
Yep.
To let you know, I got your back, trust me. So that's awesome. So let me just recap here. You are already doing, right now you in, to One Body for at least 5 years now, right?
It's been, at that point is year 4, year 5.
Year 5, yeah. And now you're joining this other, this ministry.
Right.
Now, my question is, and a lot of it is focused on students, athletics,
right,
student athletes,
right,
that body, that demographic. What is the passion for that? When did that start? Was it a moment that when you say this is what I want to do, was it clearly about kids and athletics? Students or so on.
Yeah, that moment actually went back to kind of I don't want to say early, but kind of in my 4th year or so at Antioch. So
you were leading.
Yeah, we had a sports recreation ministry.
Yeah.
I was leading that ministry, and the way that was my introduction to serving in the church.
Gotcha.
Was because the church made an announcement. I used to be one of the people that sat in the back of the church, got there, wanted to get there after all the worship music was done, wanted to leave before the benediction. Right. That was kind of my thought process coming in. And then I heard that they were having a men's basketball team.
Okay.
I said, okay, well, that's what I do. I can do that.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I get involved with a bunch of good guys.
Yeah. Guys
that, are not the guys that I'm accustomed to at the park or at the gym or whatever. I'm like, man, I really like being around these dudes. This is great for me spiritually. Yeah. And I really grew just being with them. Right. And, I'm playing ball. I didn't even see
garden ball, right?
I didn't even see it as serving or any of that.
Right.
And then after a year or two of that, they needed somebody to take that over.
I got you.
And when that moment came, it wasn't like I was like, man, I need to do this. I was being asked to do it. And I'm like, okay, as soon as that happened, I'm like, man, okay. All these things, God started flooding me with all kind of stuff. You should do this. You can do that. Yeah. And then I took it the youth direction.
Gotcha.
And it ended up spurring from there. And then next thing you know, that birthed into One Body, because it's like, man, I can do this on such a larger scale.
Right.
And
is your work at FCA, I mean, you consider that your day job for all intents and purposes.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, does that bump up against One Body at any point, or they kind of coexist?
They coexist.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
so God is all right?
They
yeah.
They absolutely coexist. They I get to combine the platforms a lot.
Okay.
And even going forward, I'm gonna do that more. Because what I do now is I'm in year 6 of FCA.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And what I'm doing is I'm finding ways to leverage the respect and the name that I have with One Body.
Yeah.
Specifically in the basketball community.
Yeah.
But and shifting that into FCA.
Okay.
So people know One Body, kids know One Body, parents know One Body locally. Local coaches know One Body. And there's a great level of respect there.
Okay.
And so, now I'm like, okay, hey, I'm also with FCA.
Yeah.
And we serve coaches as well, because they're the biggest influencers you'll find on kids.
They had direct access for sure.
Direct access, and you will find kids, I know it because I live it. You will find kids that will hang on to every word a coach tells them. Yeah. But won't listen to their parents.
I need to send you my nephew, son.
Right? Yeah. So it's like, what greater influence?
Yeah.
And that's really my hardest coaching.
Yeah. I mean, God has given you so many channels in which to impact the lives of these student athletes, these students. And how do you classify them? Is there one or the other, or both student athlete or student, or depends on the arena?
Depends on the arena. Depends on where you at. Depends on and FCA a lot of times. I mean, there's so many different ways. It's the camp environment. It's the campus environment. It's the actual team environment. It's so many different environments that sometimes it's not even athletes you interacting with. It's just kids.
Gotcha.
And that gives them a place to grow spiritually in school.
Right.
So
okay. So Mo and I, we sometimes talk about, and I think you've heard the gentleman say it. I can't think of his name, but he used to talk about becoming a fully devoted follower of Christ through, and we've seen him at a couple of Antioch leadership retreats and things like that. Man, dark-skinned brother with the gray beard. Man, his face is in my head, but I can't think of his name. Anyway, he would talk about that, and in your journey through Christ, where do you think you are now? Do you think you are, where would you say you are in your journey?
I love the word journey. I think it's going to sound like a cop-out answer, but I don't know. I think I'm just in the journey.
Yeah.
I think that, and I tell people that serve with me this all the time. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the destination.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to win so bad. Sometimes we want to succeed so bad. And it's not even about that. That's just a part of it. It's the journey. Yeah. I think that I'm just wherever God has me on my journey today. And if I'm, how you ride, you got the GPS on, and that GPS lady, she gonna give you the best route.
Yeah.
But then you think, oh, I got my own route, and you turn, and now it's like 20 minutes longer. Yeah. Well, I feel like, God is just, he's got me on that route. I'm trying to listen to the GPS lady. I'm trying to go the way that you know, he's telling me to go. Every now and then I'd go my own way, and he's screaming at me to make a U-turn or, you know, now I see all the red and the traffic that I could have avoided or that he was trying to keep me from going through. I think it's just, I'm just on the journey like everybody else. And I'm gonna get there when I get the glory.
So the influence you have on the students and, you know, for lack of a better way of saying this, kids that aren't your kids,
right,
is paramount. How does that match up against the influence you have on your kids?
Oh man, hey, listen,
because you said it, man. They listen to coaches, they listen to their parents,
and this is so man. To the parents out there, this is so real. It truly takes a village to raise a child. I think about myself growing up. My mother could tell me something, and because she said it, I didn't want to believe it. Somebody down the street could, or wherever else, could say the exact same thing verbatim, and I take it as the gospel.
Now, how many times we done heard that as a child?
Right.
And now you're telling me I don't have any kids, but I seen it myself, man.
Right.
I seen it in my nephews, their kids.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
It's like my kid, and I think about my kids, as parents, oftentimes we say, oh, we're going to give our kids what we never had.
Yeah.
And we don't realize sometimes we're not giving them what we did have.
Okay.
My kids have everything.
You know, that's going to be like a YouTube short, right?
That could be a short. Make it a short, bro. Make it a short. My kids have everything.
Okay.
We have a house at the top of a cul-de-sac with a swimming pool.
Oh, nice.
They got their own rooms. We live in Oviedo, which is one of the
top places to live in the country.
Right? Yeah. One of the top places to live in the country. We got A school systems. We got 5 Publixes within like 3 miles.
Yeah.
Got Chick-fil-A around the corner. All the prototypical great suburban places, right?
Yeah.
Church ain't far away.
Yeah.
Like everything is right there. Basketball court in the driveway. Perfect setup.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids will look at somebody else's situation and be like, want to be like them. And it's like other kids will be like, my wife, she's a teacher.
Yeah.
And me and her both will be like, man, so-and-so wishes that I was their parent.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But that's typical, right? We know that at 60, I know that to be true. But, you know, what can you say? Well, that's awesome, though. I mean, they're going to do like we did. At some point, I had to say to my mom, you were right. I should have listened.
You were right.
She was trying to get me to be the transit, the city or state worker. So at 40, I could have had a pension. They've been an entrepreneur after that, you know.
And you know, they come from a different era of thinking like, you know, hey, get a job, get a good job, keep a good job, retire from a good job.
And do whatever you want after that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's some real good advice in that some places. So
right. And there's no harm in that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But like, I still have family members that if you sat down and asked them what I do, their answer would be like, I know he coaches basketball. Mm-hmm. I think he be around kids all the time. That's all they know. Mm-hmm. They don't even know the ins and outs of what comes with that.
Nah, we've been social media friends in one form or another, so I see what you do, and it's always a good thing. I know it's hard behind the scenes, right? Because social media has a way of clouding the real work that goes along with doing what you do. But I'm gonna transition one more time, okay? Because I know we talked about One Body, we talked about FCA, but then you added another responsibility to your God's call. I'll just say, tell me about that.
Oh man, so you talking about Trinity Prep?
I'm talking about Trinity Prep. Yeah.
So I coach basketball at Trinity Prep as well, but see, here's the beautiful thing about it, right? Coaching high school basketball, that opportunity was created off of the platforms I already was given. Okay. So it's not, and it works with it. Mm-hmm. So it's not, when you think of, oh man, I mean, on the surface, you could say this dude got 3 jobs. Well, don't none of the 3 jobs pay. So it ain't like I'm sitting here with all these streams of income, right? Yeah. I mean, one job's a stipend, one job is, I'm fundraising my salary, and one job I ain't making no money from. I'm spending more money than anything.
Right.
But all of it works together because I got the coaching job at Trinity Prep because I did FCA there.
Right.
And because I was really close with the previous athletic director, and just built relationships, basketball reputation through One Body. And it just fit.
Okay.
It wasn't something where it was like, okay, hey, we need you to stop doing this or stop doing that. Right. No, continue doing what you're doing. We'll blend this all together.
Yeah. Okay.
And now what happens is that gives me opportunities to utilize facilities, to bring other people into my program, to bring other people to potentially support the ministry.
Right.
So God just works it all together. And it feels like on the surface, it looks like, man, you got 3 jobs. But I really just got 1 job, and it just depends on what shirt I'm wearing that day.
I love
that moment.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So the other part that we like to talk about on this podcast is creativity. So being a photographer, I still do the business stuff, but that I don't wear that on my sleeve as much as I used to. But one day I'll talk about that fully. Anyway, let's talk about your creative side of you. Now I know One Body has been a kind of like that platform that you've been able to. So, but I just asked, tell me about your creative outlets.
I love to write, and I feel like I have a incredibly expansive imagination. Sometimes I feel like I see things that a lot of people just wouldn't understand. So God has really gifted me with knowing how to use words.
Okay.
I write stage plays. Give people something they don't know about me. I've written a devotional book.
Okay.
That I just haven't came out with yet.
Haven't published
yet. Yeah. And it's just a situation of, God, when do I do this?
Yeah. So you're waiting for the permission to let it go out into the world? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's kind of it. Yeah. But God can deposit something in my spirit. I could wake up at 2 a.m. and write a play by 3.
Okay.
Like I just done.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, what did I just write? And then I have to go back and touch this up, touch that up. But writing is one of my things, man. I love it. I've really always enjoyed writing. I just like coming up in high school, it's something that you being a jock, you being, that guy in that circle, it doesn't line up with who you are all the time. Right. So it's like, man, like
the world will have us believe that athletes aren't capable of doing that, writing a stage play, let alone producing it. Now, how many? I know the answer, but tell me about your productions and how that writing has translated into actual stage plays.
Yeah, so I used to just write them, and I learned how to produce them.
Yeah.
I've done.
How many you got under your belt so far?
That's actually been done. We're at 7 now.
7, yeah.
Like, and counting. And it,
and through that, you're introducing the kids to acting and performing and production and skill sets that, nowadays is probably a lot more, interest in that because of social media and all of the behind the scenes stuff that goes with that. But I mean, you're giving some folks a leg up on that career path, definitely.
Yeah. And adults too.
Yeah.
Like The cool thing about being on stage is you get the opportunity to be somebody you're not.
Right.
And a lot of times we, get kind of locked into our personality typecast as, okay, you're this person. But you get the opportunity to show people what you look like if you were somebody else.
Right.
And I think there's value in that. I think that there's just, something satisfying about just playing somebody else.
I tell you, when you did your stage play and Theo was the protagonist.
Oh, yeah.
He, eventually we went on to do Wages and stuff like that. And he really had some great acting chops. And I think it helps him in his ministry nowadays. But that's good, man. So we as we start to wind this down a little bit, I don't know if I touched on everything, but I think I hit your career for transition. So if people wanted to support One Body or FCA or whatever you're into, how would they find you?
You can just hit me up on my social media, and it's simple as clicking links.
Yeah.
Mike Davis on Facebook.
The One Body.
You can go to onebodyoutreach.org.
We'll throw a little tag on it for you and everything, but I definitely think that it's worthy of support and shouting out. So yeah, man, I think we're good. I want to thank you for coming and sitting with me, because I found out some things about your journey and that I didn't know, and I'm really cool, man. So, dude, I appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Hey, y'all keep doing what y'all doing.
We will, man. I appreciate that.